Good evening, guys, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard. Rusty here, and we are underway for another Sunday night Q&A. I hope your weekend has been wonderful. It was nice having a day off yesterday, and back into it tonight. We've got a big, exciting week tonight, as you guys probably know. Emma and Andrew Stevens, as well as McScott McMillan is joining us also. And tomorrow night, Andy Little is here. We are launching a new initiative. I don't know what to call it. We're launching something exciting, which is about trying to get as much done through this period as we can, and utilising the opportunity we're presented with by this stupid corona thing in the most positive way we possibly can. Anyway, more on that tomorrow night. Very excited. Will be good. I think we've got some video stuff from Andy and maybe from Ben, and we'll see what else we can get our hands on. Looking forward to it. Tuesday night, I completely forget who's on Tuesday night. Ben's sorting that one out. Wednesday night is a different Ben from Ironside Coffee. We're going to talk coffee and the military and leadership and all sorts of stuff. And then Thursday night, reloading, special guest for that one. And who knows what else we're doing next week. I leave that in the hands of Mr. Ben Jarrett, who is the man from the Long Gun Project. So if you haven't seen his videos, go check him out. Anyway, that's tonight. As you probably aware from the other night, we are sponsored by Stage 1. So Stage 1 does all the merch for Precision Rifle Series. You can save 10% off Stage 1, as a few guys have in the last couple of days. So thanks to the guys who have done that. It helps us immensely by using the code IDLIVE10, IDLOVE10, and that will get you 10% off. You can go to the Projector Warehouse, that's the other guys, Precision Rifle Series website, and grab the merch there. There's these hats, there's the other hats, the PRS shirts, PRS hats, all there, and you can save 10% on that stuff right now. So go check that out. That'll be great. Tonight is Q&A, and so if you've got any questions, chuck them in the chat now. Our guests this evening are all PRS shooters, although their history of shooting extends much further than that. I could give you a detailed list of everything that they've done in the shooting realm, but we will literally be here for hours going through that. But very briefly, Andrew Stevens has consistently finished really well in the PRS and has done extremely well in the service rifle matches as well, and has been the super coach for Emma, his beautiful wife, who also shoots and has consistently been the highest ranking female in the PRS in Australia, but also has a list of all the people she wants to beat and is continually crossing people off that list that she has beaten. So looking forward to hearing more about the list and who's on that, and I'm curious as to know if I'm ever on there and how far down am I on the list. And also McScott McMillan, who is joining us. He shoots for Team Barras. He is notorious for breaking things, but also does actually shoot quite well, and previously had big success in handgun and probably some other things. I know I'm missing stuff. I know you've got a military shooting history as well, Scott. I'm sure we'll cover that. Anyway, that's where we're up to at the moment. That's what we're looking forward to, and I believe that some of them are ready to go. I don't know if we can see any of them at the moment. Guys, we can hear you. Are you all there somehow?
Yes. Hello.
Hello.
Great. I think we can see you all now.
I'm here too.
Good. All right. Scott.
Nobody cares, Scott.
Well, we'll start with you then, Scott.
Nothing's new.
How are you, mate? You going all right? Scott? No? Okay, doesn't want to talk.
Oh,
all right.
Yep. No, I've got you. Yeah, the whole corona thing's actually treating me quite well.
Yeah?
I get to hang out at the farm, shoot a lot.
Yep.
Get paid while I'm doing it.
Okay, so you are a man that's making the most of his opportunities at present. Yeah,
definitely.
Gotta like
I'm having
that.
a great time.
What about you, Emma? You've been on the show a few times, so we're nothing new with you. Although you did something different today.
Did I? Oh yeah, I started a page.
Yeah,
on Facebook.
You did started a Facebook public figure page.
I got a lot of help.
Yeah,
you need a lot of help.
Yeah, just
I do need a lot of help. Yeah,
we helped where we could. Excellent. And Andrew, what's been going on with you, mate? You're working, shooting, doing all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, still working. Making the most of it.
Mhm.
Getting heaps of stuff done around the house and sorting out lots of gun problems that I haven't had time to. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Very good. Got to do what you can. Absolutely. Well, we've got a few guys in the chat. Hello. Who we got? Craig, Dave, Simon, Plushy, Ben, Anthony, Ian, Charles, Peter, Warwick, a few crew in there. Good day, guys. Great to see you all. Emma, I've chosen a drink of choice tonight just to honour you. Thought you'd appreciate that, so I'm just going to fill the cup up a little bit. Not that you'd know what that is, but
Do you remember at the was it at the finale?
Mhm.
So Rusty had Fireball, and he's like pouring everyone shots, and then got like a juice glass and poured me like half a glass of Fireball, and he's like, "Here you go, everyone. Here's your shot. Here you go, Emma."
that doesn't sound like me at all.
Rude not to drink it.
You sure he wasn't just trying to shut you up?
Hey, trying to shut me up. Do you know me? That doesn't shut me up.
Good luck.
Very good. Now, I alluded to a little bit of your shooting backgrounds before, but Emma, we've had on before and talked about that. But let's kick off with you, Scott. You've done handgun stuff and service stuff and all sorts of things. What's happened? Tell us a bit about that.
All right, so a quick rundown was I started shooting pretty late. I didn't start until about 20 years old because basically my parents didn't trust me with firearms when I was a kid.
Smart parents.
So I then got into pistol shooting because both of my parents were pretty good pistol shooters. So I mostly only shot ISSF, which in that I specialised in air pistol and free pistol, with the hopes of getting selected for the Commonwealth Games.
Okay.
So I trained pretty seriously for about 4 or 5 years, and I didn't quite get there.
Yep.
And then I joined the Army, which killed any chance of training seriously. Like, I was training probably 5 hours a day, 6 days a week.
Yeah.
And when you keep going away on Army trips and stuff, that doesn't happen.
Yep.
So then from there, I think I was only in the Army about 6 months when I got onto the Australian Army shooting team.
Yep.
And then that also increased my commitments away shooting. So I basically from there transferred over to trying to win temperature of the Army.
Right.
Which I also didn't quite get there. I've got plenty of stories of how I didn't quite make it. But I was in the top, I think, 6 or 7 years in a row.
Yep.
And about just after that was when I started shooting PRS.
Right.
And then started making my own equipment rather than Army's equipment. It's nothing. Like, I was thinking back the other day, I'd broken 6 ACOGs in the time I was just when I was shooting with the Army team, not including other stuff that I'd broken.
Wow.
And they're meant to be durable scopes. So, yeah. And then I shot the second year of PRS, but the first year of more than one match.
Yep.
Where I shot in production class, which I won the season there. And then last year, where I moved into open and basically didn't finish a match with a working rifle.
Welcome to open, mate. Welcome to open. Okay,
yep.
Good. So a checkered history, but a interesting one, if nothing else.
Pretty much.
Very good. What about you, Andrew? You've got quite an extensive resume of shooting activities over the years.
Yeah, I've done a bit. I've been messing around with guns, all starting when I was a kid with a piece of pipe and a rubber glove, making the old glove gun where you're shooting stones out of lizards and stuff. And then sort of went into air rifles and shot anything that I could. And then 22s. And then pretty much joined the Army when I was about 20. I've done heaps of training with them, obviously.
Yep.
When I left the Army, I started doing a bit of F-class, bit of FTR stuff, but it was good learning experience just for Mirage and general marksmanship stuff, but I got bored with it pretty quick, just laying around on the floor, not moving around. And then I decided to go and have a go at Mildura the first year, which I wasn't going to because I'd been in Darwin on the cans for a few weeks with Emma, of course, and couldn't train and was a little hungover and everything. And I ended up doing all right with that 1-on-1 production class. So I thought, shit, I might actually be good at this.
And you came 9th overall.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember, but yeah. But
sure
yeah, then okay. But yeah, been shooting the service rifle matches, which I really enjoy. Just really low key and good bunch of guys to shoot with, and it just cements all the fundamental stuff. I think the service rifle stuff, because there's a lot of unsupported and sitting unsupported, and you soon figure out what you suck at really badly. But yeah, and also a lot of hunting thrown in there right through the whole lot of that as well. So, good times, man.
Fantastic, mate. Fantastic. I remember that first meeting you at that first PRS, and it was. I think weren't you loading in somebody's? Was that you loading in Sean McNally's camper van or something?
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah.
I got out of bed in the morning in the dark on the first day and figured out that my rounds were too long to fit in my magazine. So we were looking at ways we could push them back a bit and sort of made do for the first day. And then the Saturday night, we had to push the whole lot of them back in his caravan, which luckily had a press.
Yeah.
But the catch was when I went in there, because he was bored, that, just have another beer while you're here. So the catch was that, I got caught with McNally, and we all know how he rolls. So, but yeah,
I think my favourite bit was that you then proceeded to beat him in production class.
I did. He was coming second at the time too, so it says how good a dude he was to help me. Actually,
fantastic, excellent. And Emma, you've been smashing in PRS. That's probably all we need to say, isn't it? Although you're the only one who hasn't won a production class.
Yeah. I am, I'll just let them have that.
Okay. No worries, cool. Hey, guys, got a few questions coming through, PRS related, unsurprisingly. So let's see who will delve into these. So Andy writes, I've been listening to a podcast by pretty high-level shooters in PRS in the US. They've stated for their advice for people getting into PRS on a serious level rather than just trying it out, they would advise to use a 6-dasher. I'm guessing, Scott, you've probably changed the most calibers, or at least the most barrels. What would you?
I've got a 6-dasher.
What would you say? Would you agree with that, or which way have you gone?
Well, I ran most of the first year with a 6.5 Creedmoor. I've also got a 6BR now and a 6-dasher.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that if you're first getting into it, to run a 6BR if you're building a custom rifle.
Okay. Why do you
now that? Because one, barrel life in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
So we only shoot out to 500 metres generally.
Yep.
And it can be a time-consuming process here waiting on gunsmiths and getting everything built. So a 6BR will run 3,000 rounds plus barrel life, whereas a dasher I'm hoping to get probably 1,100.
Okay.
And my dasher is running about 150 feet per second quicker than my BR.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So if you're not building a custom rifle, then 6.5 Creedmoor is still that's still a great way to get into the sport.
Yep.
They can shoot great groups. You can, if you want to, you can buy factory ammo.
Yep.
They're easy to reload for. So that's kind of where I stand on it.
Yeah, no, not a problem. Andrew, what are you running and what have you gone through over the years?
We've just stuck with 6.5 Creedmoor still for this year. It just works for us. We're set up for it. It's forgiving, decent barrel life, and I don't think I've ever missed targets or anything, from running that caliber. The smaller ones, you might get a little bit quicker on follow-up shots and spot the odd miss a little bit better just from a little bit less recoil.
Yep.
But for us, just the 6.5. I'm also more than happy still to use the trusty old 308, to be honest.
Yeah.
Been using that heaps lately off barricades and stuff, and to be honest, I don't notice a massive difference. Probably if there was a speed game or it was really windy,
Yep.
But I don't think caliber makes a humongous difference. It's more fundamentals and reading wind, and once you're up at the top end, probably it will help that little bit. But initially, just whatever you're comfortable with, I think.
Okay, Emma, what about yourself? What are you running, Creedmoor as well?
Yeah, 6.5 Creedmoor. Andrew and I we just run the same caliber really because with them we've got all the gear for it, and it's just it works. I started out with a 308 and moving from that to 6.5 was amazing, so I'm happy with it still.
Cool. Oh, that's the way. Andrew, as a follow-up comment there is about, these are the guys who are using 3 or so barrels a year. So maybe their situation is different to ours. Do you start with something you use for a while, or do you choose something mainstream? And we've talked a little bit about your path so far. Scott, this is probably most relevant to you, who've changed a little bit. What was the thoughts behind, or the reason for changing and going the way you went?
One of the big reasons why I wanted to change to a BR-based cartridge, be it a Dasher or a 6BR, was it's a lot less finicky than the Creedmoor. So I found while I was running a Creedmoor, if it was 12 degrees in load development, I was going to shoot in 35 degrees. I generally, if I wanted to keep in the same node of accuracy, which I think I value accuracy a lot more than what a lot of other people do in PRS.
Yep.
So I expect my rifles to shoot well under an inch at 300 metres. I'm happy if they shoot half an inch there. Now, you don't necessarily need that accuracy to shoot PRS because none of the targets are that small.
Yep.
But what I gain from it is the mental ability to always trust the rifle will hit where I aim it. So if I'm missing, I'm not going, maybe my load's not right or maybe something's wrong with the rifle, given my history of breaking rifles. when the rifle is shooting that accurately, then I start thinking, what am I doing wrong? And I get to the process of fixing what I'm doing wrong quicker.
Yeah,
so
okay, gotcha.
The BR-based cartridge, I've noticed, if I can pretty much run one load, and if I do load development at 10 degrees and go and shoot in 35 degrees, doesn't change much.
Yeah, right. That's interesting to know. Yeah, okay.
Whereas a lot of the other cartridges change a lot more in velocity, and you can turn up on a 0 day and you were shooting one hole groups, and then you're struggling to shoot 3/4 of an inch. Whereas that just doesn't seem to happen with BR-based cartridges. If I'm shooting one hole groups at 100, I'm shooting one hole groups at 100 in all conditions.
Got it. Okay. Very good. Any of the Stevens have any comments on that, or you've been pretty standardised in your choices?
Yeah, I'm happy with my Creedmoor. Like we were out at Spotty's the other week, and it was punching, I think, just under half inch at 300 metres. Yep. I can't shoot any better than that up there, so I was stoked with that. That might not be the same with all the Creedmoor stuff, I don't know. But, my Bartlett barrel that ARS just put in, the Defiance, it's holding just under half inch at 300 metres, which I was stoked with. So
yeah, very good.
Yeah.
That'll do then.
Can get good accuracy out of them.
That's it. What about Ben asks if what's your process after you miss your first round? You don't see your splash on your stage. Emma, what do you do with that?
Swear a lot.
Yeah, I believe that.
First protocol.
And then after you've sworn and such, where does your head go to? What do you do next?
So if you can't see a splash and you've missed your first, you've got to reevaluate wind on the hop, which is super easy. And then just think about, were you already holding wind? Do you need to take it off? Do you need to put it on? You know, basically just hold left edge. If it doesn't work, I don't know.
What about if you, has anyone got any different advice to holding left edge?
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes right edge.
Great recommendation, Andrew.
No, well, you've just got to make a calculated decision of where you most likely missed. I know myself, till recently, I used to throw 3 or 4 rounds, just assuming that I must have pulled a bad shot.
Yep.
But if it feels good, I've sort of made a promise to myself not to throw the same miss twice.
Yeah.
I'd rather try and correct and miss and actually do something proactive than keep punching a hole in the wrong place. So, yeah, as Em said, usually it's win. So you sort of try and make an informed decision and then, try and move at least one target plate off the target from the centre of the target, because if I miss, well, I'm well off the target. So I try and make a reasonably bold correction. Another place where I'd gone wrong in the past was making too small a correction and taking 2 or 3 rounds to walk it back on instead of being a bit more bold on a correction. Because if you don't go far enough and you go to the right edge and it doesn't hit, then you go to the left edge and then high and then low, and suddenly you've put 10 rounds down and hit nothing.
Yeah.
Because I've done that.
Very true. Scott, what about you, mate? What do you do if you encounter a round that you don't know where it went? What's your course?
Look, I'd say Andrew's basically covered what my process is as well.
Yep.
The only thing is I would add, if I'm just, like, if you've got a target up in the air and I'm throwing rounds at it and nothing's working, I'll go back to the old army miss drill of aim low, because you'll see where it hits on the ground. And it'll give you an indication instead of continually burning rounds.
Yep.
So I'll get somewhere like really close to the target that I can get a point of reference, and I know I'm wasting another shot, but you can't just keep throwing them if you hit nothing. So I'll pick a reference point, I'll watch that reference point and see where the splash hits on there, and then I've got my win call. Yeah,
I guess you're throwing a shot away, but you're doing it in such a way that you know you're going to get some sort of data out of it.
Yeah. Now that's if all else has failed.
Yeah, once you've thrown a few shots and already burnt some, you got to salvage what you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Emma?
It's also good to check that you actually dialed for the correct distance.
Actually, that's the first thing I do.
Good call.
Yeah. I look at my card, look at my turrets, and it's like, well, I don't know.
And we've all done it.
That's I remember seeing, I was spotting for a shooter, and I remember watching him, and he was just hitting low, and of course in PRS as a spotter you can't correct anything or tell them adjust anything, and round low, like 3-4 foot low, and anyway I went through the entire stage, and then I said to him at the end, I said, mate, you were stupidly low, did you dial? And he looked at his scope, looked at me, looked at the scope, put the gun down, punched the ground. And and
was that when the ground shook?
That was when the ground shook. Yes, see, he hadn't dialed. He hadn't dialed, and the ground did shake. Anyway, so I can certainly attest to that. And you're right, like some sort of stop and rethink. So Emma, you raise a really good point. Really good point. And actually, just maybe going back to square one and starting again mentally. And all right, let's just think you've done everything. Now, there's a question here from
Andy McNeil's trick.
Yeah.
Andy McNeil's trick is to dial and hold.
I will tell you, Emma, that is not limited to Andy McNeil. There is I know. There is plenty who have done that, Andy included. Speaking of Andy, different Andy has asked, what are your thoughts on trigger pull gauges? Any tips or tricks on those, and what sort of triggers, I guess, weight are you running? Andrew, what are you running for your triggers?
I'm just using a dual at the moment, and I think I'm running 6 ounce
trigger,
so it's pretty light. It was on 4, but I just didn't like it. It was a little bit itchy. When I shoot PSR, because it's NATO, it's got to be 1 kilo. So I'll wind it back to that, and it's disgusting. I almost can't deal with it.
It's a 2-finger job.
It is. I don't know why that's the rule in NATO class. It's terrible. But and yeah, I'm using one of the Wheeler electronic trigger gauges to measure it. It's been really good.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been able to fault it. Just so when I have to adjust from 1 kilo down to 6 ounce, you can get it back to where you're used to it.
Okay.
Rather than just taking a guess at it. So, works well.
Very good. Emma, what about yourself with triggers? What are you running? How heavy?
Totally forgotten what trigger I'm using now because I said the wrong one the other day.
It's a jewel.
Is it? There you go.
It's actually Scott.
And mine's 6 ounce too, isn't it?
Yeah, it's my trigger.
Yeah, it's Scott.
It's Scott's.
Oh, it's a good team effort there.
I'm like, yeah.
Oh.
If we don't have something, I just send Scott a message. Have you got a spare one of this? Good.
Got it. So Scott, what?
Yeah, I think mine's on 6.
Okay, and so Scott is that correct for Emma? And then also, what is yours?
Yeah, that's what Emma's running. So I'm running a Bixby Andy.
Okay. Yep.
So I made the mistake of shooting Lucas McKenny's full, and then I couldn't go back to using a dual.
Okay.
Because it was just so much nicer.
Yep.
Now I kind of wish I never did because, I think I paid $985 for my trigger. So it's right up there on price, but I'm running at 4 ounce, which I've just recently wound up. I was running lighter, but I've decided that I'd like to be a little bit more positive on the trigger. So I've decided that I'll run a little bit heavier than what I was. I'd also add that I find trigger weight quite, what one person thinks is heavy is light for others and vice versa. So I spent a lot of years training with a free pistol trigger that was somewhere around about half an ounce.
Okay.
And when I'd been training for that for, years on end, man, it seemed heavy. So I've learned that, so now with a 4 ounce trigger, I can sit on it and squeeze it, and I can squeeze it what I consider to be quite heavy. Whereas other people will touch my trigger and they couldn't use it safely.
Yep. Yeah.
As for the original question with trigger pull gauges, I'd say take them with a grain of salt. Okay. So the digital strain gauge ones, they're a little bit more accurate once you get up in the weight, but when you try and use them on light triggers, they give you a lot of varying weights. Whereas if you use an old school weighted, a weighted trigger pull, so it uses the weight that you've got to lift it off.
Yep.
They'll be you'll get it set on that trigger and it'll be exactly the same every time, and then you test it with a digital one and it'll vary quite a bit. Yeah. But they are a good tool to test the ballpark of what weight you want.
Yeah, I guess the benefit is that you've at least got some sort of reference gauge, and they're better to have them probably to not than just to rely on your finger, which is not the best gauge. What now coming up to? I mean, we were about to kick off the 2020 season. I'm pretty sure all of you guys were ready to shoot Mildura, if I'm not mistaken. What had you been working on in the lead up to it? Emma, we'll kick off with you. What had you been focusing on?
I sort of worked out that I'm really bad at spotting. So there's no spotting as such in PRS, but just looking at wind and being able to spot people's trace, which is actually really handy even at a PRS, to watch, the guy before you and see what the wind's doing to their round. So I had been trying to do a lot of spotting trace, reading wind, but also just my regular dry fire. So just using the little makeshift barricade that Andrew made in the backyard, and doing like different things like shooting off tires, shooting the 22 as well off different things. And also I like to do like there's a skill stage. Which one is it? The one where you've got to run and like hit your mag, collect the mag and then run, drop back down again.
Yep.
I do that one a fair bit because that gets your heart rate up and kind of gets the blood pumping. And then when you go back to the barricade sort of ones, it's a lot different to when you just cruise up and shoot. So it kind of simulates being nervous and being in a match. So
yeah, cool.
That sort of stuff.
Very good. Scott, what about you, mate? What have you? What had you been focusing on?
Firstly, making sure that all of my gear is working, and I'd finally changed to actual proper 6BR mags, which was my problem the whole of last year, that I couldn't get decent spacer kits.
Right.
Whereas now I'd built a new rifle, got all that running, and changed to MDT 6BR mags.
Yep.
And all of those problems with maybe 600 rounds this year, haven't had a misfeed.
Yeah, right. Nice.
So now what I've been doing actual training-wise is I'd reevaluated how I was training, and basically instead of trying to shoot faster, trying to train to go fast, I've now changed to training slow. So by that I mean is to shoot so slow that you can't make a mistake.
Yep.
So every process is done super slow so that you can ingrain into your subconscious of how the perfect shot is done every time. Then from there, you'll slowly get faster because you're just doing it right.
Yep. Yeah, nice. Nice. Andrew, what about you?
So,
had you, sorry to cut you off, Scott. Did you have something more to add in there?
Nah, go on.
Got it. Andrew,
now, while Emma's been doing all this fabulous training, I was just trying to figure out how to walk again because I did me back really badly.
that's right.
But yeah, I haven't been able to lean over or do anything for bloody months. It's slowly coming good now.
Yep.
But in saying that, I've taken the time to start looking at just processes ballistically. I make a lot of misses just from incorrect ballistics.
Yep.
So I've taken a lot of time to learn the Kestrel inside out and back to front.
Okay.
And just little things about presenting data, having 2 wind holds now, things like that, so that if you've got a wind call and a high and a low, like on the Kestrel, you can put, say if you had to come 0.2 to 0.5 right, if the 0.2 and 0.5 bracket the target and it's on it, and you're on either side of it, then send it.
Yep.
Whereas in the past, I've always just had one wind call and that was it by hell or by high water.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, changing a few of those processes to bracketing wind and just trying to put a bit of time into making sure velocity's right, dope is calibrated, basic things, so that all I have to do when I'm better in the back is just send it and it will hit it if I point it at it. So, but yeah, I haven't done a lot of shooting, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So
that's something you and I have in common. Actually, is the back. Yep. We often are complaining together about how bad our backs are. But anyway, that's something we just have to overcome and work our way through. Now, just to take a moment out here, guys, and let you guys know that we are sponsored by Stage 1 tonight for this episode. You can jump over to the Precision Rifle Series website and you will be able to save 10% on any of the Stage 1 merch over there, which is you've got the hats, the one I'm wearing, and you've got a couple of shirts, the PRS shirts, PRS hats as well, using the code IDLIVE, IDLIVE10. And that will save you 10%, as some guys have already done since this all kicked off on Friday. So that is awesome to have. And yeah, we are Also, looking forward to the rest of this week. Tomorrow night, we've got Andy Little joining us for a new project that is coming on board, which is excellent. And very excited about that. Looking, hopefully, you can join us for that one. Wednesday night, we've got Ben from Ironside Coffee, who is back on. He's one of the sponsors for the PRS for the 2020 season. Makes excellent coffee. I do use it every morning and most afternoons, several times a day, because it's coffee and that's what you need. Then Thursday night, again, reloading. Wednesday night, the hangout has been really, really good. So if you were on Wednesday, if you're watching the show, join us afterwards for a Zoom catch-up, and we all stare around and look at each other and show guns off and show bits and pieces and have a bit of discussion on whatever it is. And it's great because it's more of a two-way discussion than this is. So anyway, I think we have our crew back after restarting Zoom, which is what we have to do, although I think we may have got rid of Scott McMillan. So celebrating or what? Anyway, that's all right. I'll kick him back in again there. Hopefully he can join in. There we go. He's on his way in. Now I did see that there was some other questions waiting there, so we will jump into those. Actually, this is a really good point that I wanted to ask you guys about, and one that I've been thinking sort of more broader over PRS is watching. So the Ben's question is, what are you using to watch the shooter before you? Particularly Emma. Apparently, he's only interested in you. Binos or spotting scope, watching the trace or the splash. But I guess what I wanted to expand that question to is let's say you're 2 or 3, maybe 4 shooters away from taking your turn. What are you looking for? Not only just what you're using, but what are you actually looking for downrange? Emma, we'll start with you.
So to check, like when I'm the shooter before, I just use whoever's spotting scope is set up the best. I just walk up and go, can I use that? And they're like, sure. So that's great. But everyone's so nice. In the lead up though, like when I'm like sort of 5-4 shooters away from shooting, I actually have a really, I've got a habit of getting out my binoculars wherever I can, lying down on my guts. Like if it's a prone stage, definitely lying down sort of behind where the stage is set up, so I can get down on the ground and see what the shooter sees. Because so many times I have like looked at the range, knew where the target was that I was meant to be shooting, lie down and went, oh shit, I don't know where the target is. It looks totally different. So I've always now made a habit of lying down if it's a prone stage and having a look at what that target looks like from the ground, because they quite often look totally different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just having a good look at how you're going to see it through the scope before you get there.
Yep. Andrew, what about yourself, mate? You're 3-4 shooters away from your stage. What info are you trying to get?
For me, I'm more trying to just identify where the targets are and try and get some kind of landmark or something that will be able to help me find it on the fly. Definitely looking at the wind with the spotting scope and trying to see if there's any trend to it, whether it's getting high or low or exactly what it's doing.
Yep.
Also, the binoculars, just as I'm getting a little bit close, to do help. And I find that helps because I can see a lot more splash and dust from the whole range from other shooters not even on our stage.
Yep.
And it seems to give me a bit better picture overall across the range what's happening. Whereas the spotting scope I find is really good for reading a bit of mirage and having a look.
Yep.
But I get tunnel vision looking down it. So I like to go back to binoculars as well for that wider view to have a look at what's going on across the whole range. And I reckon it really does help just getting off the spotter a little bit and something with a bit wider view can help. So spotter for wind and the binoculars for finding targets and everything else, really.
What about yourself, Scott? What do you do in this scenario?
Yeah, my process is not really any different. Basically, I use a spotter wherever it happens to be, and then I'll try and get directly behind the person shooting. So, and again, so you can get low, so you can get the same perspective of what you're going to be actually looking through with your scope.
Yep.
More so on finding your targets and the like landmarks and stuff that you're looking for.
Yep.
And then I used to have a small monocular. Like I kind of go the opposite way to Andrew. Was I went for a similar picture. So I had like a 15-pound monocular that I used to use.
Yep.
So that everything was in the same perspective, and then just run the spotter for looking at mirage, comparing that to what I see in the wind, what I see in the trees and the grass and that moving for wind.
Okay. And when you are actually looking downrange, so obviously you guys have all identified that you need to sort of work out where your targets are and see if there's any obstructions or see if, what order you might need to shoot them in. But you talk about also watching wind. Are you watching the wind on on the grass and on the surrounds, or are you doing anything to watch wind, like someone's shooting and they're always hitting to the left? Like, are you watching where the bullets are going? Are you watching the environment? Are you doing a bit of everything? Scott, back to you.
Basically a bit of everything. So generally it depends on so many variables. If you've got good conditions, one of the first things you're doing is watching trace.
Mm-hmm.
So watch the guy shooting in front of you, see where their bullets are going, because if it's windy, like those bullets are going to curve.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll see what their bullets are doing. The mirage is a big thing. Like you can see whether you're running on a boil or it's running hard left to right, and then from the mirage, I'm trying to see what other aspects are affecting it, because every range is different.
Yeah.
So like you could be at Buchan, which it doesn't affect it that much, but you've got trees everywhere.
Yep.
Whereas if you're shooting on a range that's got no trees, well, then you're going to have to get other reference points.
Mm-hmm.
So especially when you've got time before the match,
yep,
before the stage, it's all aspects of it. So
nice shout out, man. Cheers, thanks.
No worries.
Very good. Emma or Andrew, have you got any difference to what Scott's doing in what you're attempting to do when you're looking down range, watching other shooters or anything?
Not really, except for it's handy for me if Scott's in my squad and he shoots before me,
yep,
and I go, what did you do for wind?
and then do the opposite and you'll hit it.
I was waiting for the kicker. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
It makes him feel good.
Good. Jimmy asks, does anyone use a barrel cooler between stages? Does any of you guys?
The most annoying thing in the world.
Yeah, only if they want to get a slap.
Andrew, you have one?
Yeah, I use it in practice, and when we're doing drills and practicing, it just speeds things up. I never have in a competition. There's a fair bit of time between stages, and they are a bit noisy, and some people, like Emma, get a little funny about the noise.
It's so annoying.
It's not that bad. But yeah.
Actually,
they do
Tristan
work well,
said that there's quiet ones.
There is a quiet version that has been released, but I haven't seen anything on it. So, yeah.
No.
I don't think it's for sale yet.
Yeah.
Here, anyway.
They work well, but it's probably not necessary, really, in a match.
Commonly, you'll be having you might be taking 10 shots or so, and then half an hour at least sort of break between that and your next stage, and so you've got plenty of time for it to cool down. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Talking about field of view, what scope magnifications do you normally run during a stage? Now, I know that's a pretty broad a question, but Andrew, do you have a set number that you go to and tweak either side?
Yeah, usually if I'm reasonably happy with it, I'll go usually 15 or 16, depending on the stage and how many targets, whether I think I can find them.
Yep.
If I'm at all concerned about sort of not being able to easily identify them or find them, I'll usually start at 12. It's pretty rare I go up above 16 unless they're either small targets or it's like a KYL rack where I've got plenty of time. Something like a KYL rack, I'll run everything it has. More's better. But yeah, I don't go much above 16 generally. But I'm quite happy to go back to about 12. Much less than that, I'm not really in a happy place normally. So yeah.
Yep. Okay. Very, very good. Scott, what about you, mate?
My number is generally all of it.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'm running
Well, you
as
do need
much
classes.
as I can. I'm guessing because of these things. Like, if I'm under 18, like there's something wrong. Now, I would say this year I haven't dialed my scope off 30.
Okay.
Now, there's actually a reason why I'm doing that. I'm not planning on running 30 at matches. I'll probably run somewhere around 22 to 25.
Okay.
But the higher you dial on power, the lower your field of view is.
Yep.
So I'm training on 30 all the time so that every time I jump behind my rifle, if I'm not perfectly lined up on the target, I'm not looking at it. So it teaches me to be a lot more critical on my target acquisition.
Yep.
So then when I dial down a little bit under pressure, if I make a small mistake, I'm still looking at the target.
Okay.
Whereas if you're dialed up high and you're not lined up on the target, when you get behind the scope, then you'll waste so much time searching for it.
Yep. What have you done? Have you done any particular drills or anything to sort of upskill in that particular area? Because that's a hard thing to do without a significant amount of practice.
Yep, I'd say so. I've been using the target light dry fire thing that's straight behind you in the picture, and I've spent hours and hours just picking a target somewhere on there, dropping the rifle on the barricade, so taking 2 steps forward, like on full zoom, having a look at that.
Oh, we've lost you, mate. Hang on. Sorry, mate. Go again. You talked about full zoom.
Yep, so I'm running on full zoom. I pick a target on there. I drop onto the target.
Yep.
And if I'm not lined up on that, I take note of whether I was left, right, up, down.
Yep.
And then I do it again until every time I drop onto there, it's at a minimum of in my field of view. Hopefully, like I'm aiming within like a mil of it.
Yeah, gotcha.
And I would have spent this year, I don't know how many hours I've spent doing that, but now every time I drop behind the rifle on 30 power, the target's fairly centered in my scope and generally at least in my field of view.
Yep. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Emma, what are you running for your power?
So as a rule, I have a bit of a process. I start on 15 and then just like go for gold, whatever I need. If I can't find it, which I'm getting better at, sort of trying to line up and make sure I drop down on the target, not like, way over here and have to go searching. But if I do find myself not knowing where it is, you sort of have to come right back and look up and try and get back on. But as a rule, I start on 15. Barricade sort of shoots. I don't normally need to move it from there. But if it's prone and it's like a KYL or, something like that, I normally try and like get it up to sort of around 20.
Yep.
So, but yeah, no, pretty happy around 15 most of the time.
Very good. Hitting still targets wants to know when we're all going for beers.
Right now.
Move on from beers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, not soon enough.
I'm on to port now. Got a port.
Yeah, there's an idea.
APW says, watching some NRL matches and most competitors are wearing camo. Is there a reason or just an American thing? I think I've been to a number of US matches and probably in a position to answer that, I guess, because I deal with the range rules over here, probably more so. But, I mean, not most for the matches I've been over there, but quite a few do. You're right. And a reason I think that they do is because, if they're going to buy one really good outdoor jacket that deals with weather really well and they're hunters, they're going to buy it in camo for that reason and then wear it to the range. Over here, some ranges are either frown upon, some have outright banned, and then some don't care about what you wear. So it really comes down to the range over here as to whether you can or can't wear it. And because of that, guys are more inclined to buy something that isn't full-on camo that they can wear to the range as well as take hunting. So maybe dark greens, which you see a lot of that over here. So it varies a lot over here whether you see camo and stuff. And but yeah, you as a general rule, you won't, because a lot of the ranges frown upon it. And
I do when I can.
yeah, and some do.
Our
Some
PSR, the PSR matches we're allowed to.
Yep.
And I wear it because I'm a hillbilly and I like wearing camo. And if a dude can wear a dress in this world we live in, well, I can wear bloody camo when I want it. So that's my theory.
Or if they...
Or a mankini.
A mankini.
Yeah, or a mankini. As long as it's not camo.
So, Scott, I've got to ask you about that. The mankini that we talked about it, and I think we showed it the other day on a Q&A that Emma was on. How did that? I mean, not in detail how it felt, but how did it feel in general? And also, more importantly, how did it feel by getting
little chafy, sweaty? It was hot.
Hang on, Emma. Emma, I've got to ask, how do you know? But anyway.
Scott gets very sherry when he drinks too much.
Yeah, I probably need a few more drinks.
Yeah, this is true. That video got leaked by someone to ARS and went worldwide. Have you had people comment to you that just out of the blue about it?
Yes. At my work.
Your work. and how did that conversation go?
I'm not sure how they figured it out, but one day one of my mates at work, who I wasn't even working there when that happened, come up and go, so I hear there's a video. And I'm looking at him going, completely out of context.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know what this guy's talking about. And then he explains it a bit more, and I'm like, oh, well.
Yep.
Don't make drunk bets. And then I had to show
And he
him.
hasn't again. He hasn't again either in his defence. He tells me
Not
to
that
get
bad.
stuff.
I've made a few other smaller drunk bets that were pretty dumb, but
Yeah, I know of one bet you made that if you didn't wake up by a certain time, I got to throw. No, if I didn't wake you up by a certain time, so I threw a bucket of water on you. Anyway, it was good fun.
Yeah.
It was good fun.
I feel as though that was good fun. The mankini, not so much. It's good fun to laugh about. And I'm not saying it won't ever happen again. But...
Oh, good dropping
Well,
bombs.
I know of another bet that was made with someone else too, but we won't talk
yeah.
about that. Will we, Emma?
I don't know about any bets. I was drunk, so it doesn't count.
Oh. Yeah.
So, just bringing it back onto a Q&A thing, do you have any advice as to rules around bets being made under the... No, perhaps we'll move on to something. Guys, if you are...
There should be a 0.05 limit.
Breathalyzer.
Guys,
Smart idea.
if you are watching, this is probably the last chance to ask a question before we wrap up. We've got a couple of minutes left, so if you have got anything, please jump on in and ask these guys, and we'll get on to them. Guys, we at some point we're going to be back on shooting matches as well. Are you doing anything now in preparation for that? Scott, are you practicing lots, or are you focused on anything particular?
Yep, I'm definitely shooting more than I've ever shot before.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So I had this idea last week to get rid of my mobile phone. I bought this $9 burner phone because I'm wasting so much time on social media, on anything I can do on my phone.
Yep.
So my teammate Dave convinced me to buy this $9 burner phone.
Okay.
And now all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I've got nothing to do. I guess I'll go and shoot. And like I'm all of a sudden like at the farm, I'll go and say cut firewood for a couple of hours. I've still got the rest of the day. I'm like, well, I guess I might as well shoot all day.
He'll end up with a strong left arm.
It's not.
So yeah, I'm spending so much of my day training for PRS, like probably 60% of it.
Yep. Yeah.
Now that might not all be shooting rounds. Like I've probably shot maybe 100 rounds a week. for that time. Most of us dry fire.
Yep.
But instead of going, I'll check Facebook, I'll go, I'll dry fire for 10 minutes.
Got it. Yeah,
so I'm quite enjoying that.
Yeah, nice. Andrew, what about you, mate? Are you in? You're obviously not in that luxurious position, or you haven't gone down the criminal path of a burner phone?
No, I'm not there yet. Maybe after a few of these bloody Tinder things come back, but maybe. So we'll see.
Hang on. Emma, did you know he's on Tinder?
Yeah, I'm famous too.
Emma probably set up his profile.
It'll be right. Rusty will set it up. He wouldn't steer me wrong. It'll be right. But no, I've just been practicing a bit of not really PRS stuff. It kind of is, but PSR was unsupported.
Yep.
Sitting unsupported because my back's so stuffed. I've just been absolutely terrible at that for the last year. So just a bit of repetition and muscle memory. I'm getting better at being able to sit and unsupported stuff because it's costing me heaps of points.
Yeah.
And after doing that for 2 or 3 weeks, I'm feeling really good. Apart from that, haven't done a whole lot. We have been doing a bit with the 22.
Yeah, cool.
I must do Crispy's match before it ends when we get time, actually. But yeah, really only the 22. So yeah.
Yeah, we should make mention of that. If you are in a position where you can actually get out and shoot, be it rimfire, be it centerfire, jump onto Delta Tactical or Team Delta Tactical Precision. I get the name wrong. Delta Tactical Precision Rifle Team, I'm pretty sure. Jump on that on Facebook. We'll link it out. We might share it out tomorrow. I think we shared it out over the weekend on the ID page as well. And Crispy's got a stage brief and targets and sort of a format to do a distance shooting comp where you film your whole process and send it off, and then they'll compare it all. But I think they're also on the slide. I think they're giving a bit of feedback about it as well for the guys who want feedback on it. So if you are relatively new to it, don't be put off by going, I can't compete with those boys. It's not about that. Do the shooting, get the shot, get the data, send it off to them, and say, guys, I'm open to feedback because they're good dudes to be getting info from. So. Yeah, encourage you guys to check that out if you're in a position to be able to shoot still, or if you're overseas. I'm sure they'll let people overseas shoot as well. So I know Graham and a few other guys are there from overseas, and I'm sure they can get involved.
That's actually a really interesting thing. Like from Crispy, sending that out to me, I've gone back to shooting paper targets a lot.
Yeah, right.
So I realised, just from shooting that stage, shooting standing, I was punching one hole groups.
Mm-hmm. With
shooting kneeling, which should be.
Groups? Were they one-shot groups?
No. So I was putting 3 rounds in. They might be a knee large hole. But I went to kneeling, and I was barely holding what would be the
glory hole
target.
Hey, Emma, how much is Andrew drunk tonight? Just checking in.
Didn't hear what you said.
Yeah. So when I was shooting steel, it looks great because I wasn't missing the target.
Mm-hmm.
Once I went onto paper, I was like, oh, wow, this doesn't look pretty. And although my standing's great, my kneeling needs some serious work. And from that, I figured out that I had a problem with my natural point of aim.
Mm-hmm.
And I then went on to correct that.
Emma's currently losing it. I think I'll put her on mute for a few minutes. She can have some time to herself.
Jesus. Hey, sort yourself out. Go.
Anyway, so carry on, Scott.
Back to it was looking great shooting steel, but then once I could actually put it on paper, I could then actually analyse not just that I'd made a mistake, how bad that mistake had made the shot, and I could actually analyse what I needed to do to improve more.
Yep. Yeah, cool.
So shooting those targets that Delta Tactical have designed have been a big help for me.
Good. Emma, have you been punching holes or shooting from your knees recently?
I don't get on my knees as much as Scotty, so I'm not.
I was asking Emma. I don't know.
Someone's got to.
Wasn't interested in yours, Andrew? Emma?
Look, I mean, there's nothing better than punching holes on your knees, is there?
Jenna, it's your story. Righto. I think that's all we're going to get out of Emma tonight. So we shall leave it there, guys. Thanks so much for getting involved. Thanks for your knowledge and your wisdom and such. All the best for whatever you've got between now and whenever we can get back to shooting matches and hanging out and drinking rum together. I am very much looking forward to that because it's been far, far, far too long. And yeah, is there I guess we should do some sort of like a. Give us your best piece of advice, but you've only got 4 words to do it. Scott, you're up first with that.
Suck less.
Is that all? Only 2. All right.
That's all. Only need 2.
Suck less. Okay, good. Speaking of, Emma?
Don't wear a mankini.
And Andrew?
Don't shower with Scott.
There was no way that was going to end well. All right, guys, thanks so much.
This has just gone downhill.
Thanks so much for a wonderful. We don't let these guys drink when they're on show. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for that. Hopefully, people were able to pick out a few things from there. I no doubt they will, and we will look forward to seeing all of you guys again soon. Guys, thanks for watching. And these guys are a blast to shoot with. Good fun, and if you're going to a comp, try and get in squads with them, particularly afterwards, and if not, sit around the fire afterwards drinking rum with them. They're always good fun. But you also do learn because they can all shoot as much as they may portray that they are just having a giggle. It is excellent to have you on board. Thanks so much. Quick shout out to both Projectile Warehouse. You can save 5% over at Projectile Warehouse. ID Live number 5 on the end. ID Live 5. And you can also with Stage 1 save 10%. This is on the Precision Rifle Series website. You can do so using the code ID Live 10. We try and make our codes as relevant as we can. All right, guys, we'll be back tomorrow night for what is going to be a very exciting show with a perhaps, hopefully, some really positive, good message for the next few weeks. Looking forward to having Andy on board for that one. I can't wait. That is something I've been anticipating highly. Hopefully you can make it. We will catch you then. Cheers.
Hey, pretty baby, pretty baby.